box of cereal just seems like a simple meal. I mean, it's just food after all. But lurking behind the innocent cardboard box lays a complex reality that can change what we eat. Foods are being genetically modified in order to be more nutritional, but this may not always be true. The government should enforce labeling genetically modified foods in order to discourage lenient measures, clear up ambiguous studies, and address the real role of the genetically modified food industry. The government is composed of diverse people who come from many backgrounds, such as large industries or from maybe a small rural town. But according to Dr. Mercola, a lot of people have a lot of food companies such as Monsanto have been supporting government positions in order to secure representatives and gain favorable reputation. But this venture seems ironic according to his report, which states that many of the people in the government positions have actually been part of Monsanto. An example of this would be Linda J. Fisher, who was the Vice President for Government and Public Affairs for the Monsanto Corporation, but later became known as the Deputy Director for the Environmental Protection Agency in 2001. There are many other people like this, so it makes it seem ironic that they would just keep on paying money for the same people who are in the same industry. So by labeling, the government basically reduces the incentive for people to keep on paying, since if companies lose the incentive to keep on giving money to the company, and the people basically don't want to label. Let's see. A lot of people have been fearing that genetically modified foods also basically harm our health, such as giving kidney problems and possibly a smaller or shorter lifespan. But according to Hischer and Bond, a team in London conducted a study by feeding rats on genetically modified corn, and they found that the rats, after a specified about a 2-month span, developed kidney and liver problems. However, Tom Sanders, the head of nutritional sciences at King's College in London, stated that the team did not provide any information about the amount of food that the rats were given or the growth rates, which makes it hard to believe some of the studies that they received. So this highlights a point that many people aren't really sure what to believe. So by using labels, it gives people a chance to judge on their own standards, since they can believe on since labels show what they are, so the people can choose to believe whether they think genetically modified foods are safe enough. And also, the genetically modified food companies say that using these foods is the key in addressing poverty in this world, but a lot of critics don't think this is true. According to Schwind and Kolokava, poverty is caused by a lack of access to basic human rights, not from a lack of access to food. GM foods fundamentally cannot end poverty, since the problem is not with supply and demand. Many companies have used this method of supply and demand to increase their profits while actually neglecting the safety of the consumer. An example of this is clearly shown by Sandra Park, a website post for Healthy Foods Naturally. As you know, PCB was a chemical that was widely used in probably the 1900s in paints and coolants for its low degradation rate and its ability to be used in anything such as coolants and paints. However, once people started developing diseases, Monsanto, the manufacturer, was pressured into politicizing their PCB studies, and as it comes out, they actually knew about the effects far before they marketed it, which shows that sometimes companies may actually put a profit over actual human health. The human health outweighs the benefits of just a few sack of pills. So a label is what gives us a choice. It gives us the knowledge of what we eat and what we choose to do. So write to your congressman and tell them that you want the choice to you want the choice to eat and keep yourself healthy.
Q&A.
So could some organic foods be genetically modified?
Well, there were some instances where small farmers were sued for actually accessing Monsanto's Roundup Ready. It's a type of seed brand that's widely used in corn. But yes, there are some chances because through pollination sometimes the seeds could contaminate organic fields, so there's a chance. Does that answer your question?
So you mentioned that you wanted genetically modified foods to be labeled so that people didn't keep paying the companies of such foods.
Oh, yes.
But I was wondering what the current regulations are as far as using genetically modified foods.
Well, California did attempt to pass a bill on labeling genetically modified foods, and a lot of people supported it. I wasn't able to find any kind of statistics since it didn't much of a issue. But as of the best of my extent, I think there are only a few people that are actually pushing for labeling, since governmental organizations are suppressing it because they don't really want to label foods, because in a sense everything is genetically modified.
Could you address why GMO would not help address poverty, because I didn't quite understand why it wasn't a supply and demand issue.
Okay. Well, because I'm sorry if I didn't explain this clear, but we know that some countries like across the world have social issues such as civil wars, economic recessions, and things things that make it hard, like dictatorships, corrupt governments. So companies are thinking that the reason why people are starving to death around the world is because they don't have enough food. But actually this is a lack of access to food, since the government and other situations, as I highlighted earlier, don't allow the food to get into. And there was a study, I think, I'm not sure the name, but America produces enough food for everyone so that they're adequately nourished, but distribution is what causes some people to have poverty. So if GMOs they don't solve social issues, that's the thing.
We got to move forward, guys. It's lunchtime. Let's give it up for June. Gabby, you're on deck. And then after that, we've got Lizzie.
Oh, Jackson,
And you guys switch, so there you go. Head off to lunch, guys. Quietly, please.
Aria.
I like your rock. It's cute. Huh? Your rock. Shiny. Oh, it's cute. It's a heart.
That's human health.
Oh, I get the symbolism.
Human health weighs more than human health weighs more. That's the rock.
I do that. Gotcha.
I get it.
I want you to fill this out. You do it now or after. Sierra, did you get a copy of the rubric?
7 seconds under 5 minutes.
Can I just whack date test to see what I got wrong?
I haven't really sorted those out yet.
Okay.
If we have time, we'll look at it.
Okay.
If not, we have to wait till Monday.
Okay.
You were right in like 454 or something like that.
I know, I was at like 453.3. I'm like, oh gosh. How bad did I do?
It wasn't terribly polished. How do you think you did?
Well, I had like sources on my note cards to cite, and then I realized I started saying the quote without citing the source. I'm like, oh gosh. And I was shaking.
I had a
really
tough
bad.
time